Okay, so we're dedicating our learning to the Refuah Shalem of Avram Yehuda Moshe ben Shalva and to Moshe David ben Gikl, Michal Malka Bas Rachel, Din ben Rivka Leah, and many others who need a refuah. Okay. Rabari, you left already? Rabari, you left?
No. Or the end.
Okay. V'cheinu avinu kulanu ki echad, kibanu ki echad be'ofanecha. V'cheinu avinu kulanu ki echad, kibanu ki echad be'ofanecha. V'cheinu avinu kulanu ki echad, kulanu echad be'ofanecha. V'cheinu avinu kulanu ki echad, kulanu ki echad be'ofanecha. La 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 So this is Bernie and Yaakov.
I'm sorry?
Yaakov. No. Bernie, Yaakov, Ezi, Michal, and
Reuven Yosef.
Reuven Yosef. Okay. Take a book. Okay, so today Reb Shlomo we're going to learn some of his teachings where he's explaining the inyan of the Sa'ir L'Azazel. And Yom Kippur, in the times of the Beit HaMikdash, we had this very, very unusual service once a year, just on Yom Kippur. Among the sacrifices, the children of Israel had to contribute 2 identical goats, which the high priest then stood between them, and there was a box with lots. One lot said L'Hashem, and one lot said L'Hashem, to God, and one lot said L'Azazel, to Azazel. And the Torah doesn't tell us clearly what is Azazel. We know that in modern Israeli slang, it's used as a curse word, right? You know, when somebody says to somebody, go to Azazel. And the reason that the way that came about was, unfortunately, that it's become, the word has been used in that way, but it says to send the goat out to the desert, L'Azazel, to Azazel. And Rashi brings us an interpretation from the Talmud that Azazel was a very steep, sharp cliff, with a jagged cliff, and that goat would actually be sent over the edge of the cliff and would even be dead before it hit the bottom, you know. And there's a medrash also that there was a crimson rope tied around his horns, and that miraculously it would turn white to indicate that Hashem had forgiven us. Okay, does that make sense to you? Can you relate to that? Not yet. It's now. Well, let me just start out by saying that even if at the end of the year you still don't relate to it, it's still in the Torah. This is our part of our holy Torah, no less than any other part of the Torah. So just know that things that you don't understand today, when Mashiach will come, we'll understand it. Okay. I mean, the Bechlal, the whole union of sacrifices is something that is not. Most of us have no idea how to relate to the whole concept of animal sacrifices. All that I can tell you is that I once heard from Reb Shlomo Karlebach, when I told him that I was having, this is years ago, that I was having trouble relating with trying to visualize myself bringing an animal sacrifice. He laughed and he says, "Are you surprised that you're having a hard time relating to that? 2,000 years we haven't had the Beit HaMikdash. We have no idea what it's like, what it's about. But don't worry, when Mashiach comes, the consciousness of the Jewish people is going to be changed, and things that we have a hard time relating to now, it'll be clear that it is this way because it's supposed to be this way." Okay. You know, there's a no, but that's okay. But it's because you let him come in too, but somebody else is there too. Arya is there? No.
So then he just.
No, somebody else is there now too. Oh, Mayor's here.
Okay, Mayor, sorry.
You can get.
But he doesn't.
No, yeah, he's coming in. Relax. Mayor, your chassid is all excited that you're here.
One has to stand up for the record, no? Good to see you. Sorry.
Ruben, yes, give me that book, please.
I hope that you'll talk a little bit.
What are you doing? No, that's what it is.
No. Go look what you're doing. Because I'm watching.
Okay. Put it down. It's the same thing. It's not covering it anyway.
Well, it's not covering it, but it's flashing and it's going to stop.
Oh, it's flashing because of that. Okay, fine. Mayor, come sit over here.
Can I make a request that we learn the name of our Goshen?
Yes.
Avram Yehuda Moshe Ben Shalva.
We did that. No, you say it's just me over here. You know what? Sit over there. Yeah. Nicole, did you bring your own book by any chance? You did? So that's what you're using right now? Okay, you guys are going to share one and give me this one, please, so that they can share. That's why it was flashing. I didn't know why it was flashing. Thank you. Did you like it was flashing?
It was, the light was changing.
I see.
And now it's solid.
Okay. But my Hasidim are like sort of a little bit
On
the edge, right?
On the crucified.
Anyway, so we're saying that. We're talking about the Sayur Azazel. We just started talking about it, right? You're familiar with it. Sarah, yeah? You familiar with the Sayur Azazel? Aaron, you familiar with the Sayur Azazel? No? The goat that was sent after on Yom Kippur, the Kohen Gadol stood between two goats. They cast lots. One went as a sacrifice on the altar, and one was sent over the edge of a cliff in the wilderness. That's what the Gemara tells us. So before getting into what Azazel actually is, which the truth is, I don't know if anybody is absolutely sure but we'll get there. I just want to say one thing, and that is that, there's one should be aware of the way we think and the way we draw conclusions. Okay, what everybody is used to is living in a world which is, so to speak, an empirical world. Empirical science had the attitude that if you can't see it, if you can't smell it, if you can't scratch it, or whatever it is, if you don't have any evidence of its existence, then it doesn't exist. That's a mistake in thinking. All that means, if you don't have any evidence for the existence of something, it only means that you don't have any evidence for its existence. It doesn't mean that it's not there. Okay, and time and again, there was a scientist that was already suggesting that there are these little microorganisms that are responsible for the transfer of illness and disease, and though he was a respected chemist, his colleagues said he was nuts until they invented the electron microscope. Okay, you can open the window if you want.
Oh, no.
Till they invented the electron microscope, then they said, "Oh, it's there," right? There were archaeologists of the Middle East until about 15 or 20 years ago were swearing that the stories in the Chumash can't possibly be true, because it says that Avram sent Eliezer to find a wife for Rivka, and he sent him with 10 camels, and they never found any evidence of camels in the Middle East at that period of history. Well, Mazel Tov, since about 15 years ago, they actually found evidence of camels, right? So just because you didn't find it, it means it's not there. Just because you don't see God is not here. Chas v'shalom, right? Hashem is the most capable of hiding Himself, and there are things in the Torah that we understand. There are things in the Torah that we don't understand, but just keep that in mind. Just because I don't understand something, I cannot logically conclude that it's lacking in wisdom and in understanding. It's just that it's not accessible to me right now. Okay. So we're talking about something which, admittedly, is very difficult to understand. What is this business? We don't. Now, there are passages in the Torah about the Seirim and what kind of these various energies and so on. But what is it? How much do we know about it? It still remains quite mysterious. Okay.
We can generalize that, can't we? That I may not understand something, or whatever it is, but that doesn't mean that there's not an answer. It's just that I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. Say hello to your mother. Okay. So let's take a look at a little bit of text. But in any case, we're not going to do much text, because I want to sort of try to give over the main point, since this is the last lesson before the Chagim. So page 219. Okay. So as I mentioned, the Kohen stood before two identical goats, right? And he drew lots as to which one is going to go to the altar and which one is going to Azazel, right? So in the previous pages, Reb Shlomo was explaining that these two goats were representing good and evil. Okay. Now, what's this Azazel about? So there's a Gemara that says that, when Hashem created dogs, elephants, fishes, trees, etc., nobody raised any objections. But when God said, let's create man, that's Reb Aryeh, okay. When God said, let's create man, there was a voice of objection raised. Reb Aryeh, come in for a second. I want to wish you a Gmach Simei Tova. Gmach Simei Tova, Kol Tov. Kol Tov. We'll see you in good health after Yom Tov Yom Yisashem. We're having Simchas Beis HaSheva Wednesday night, Chol HaMoed, Yisashem.
I'll be in the neighborhood.
Yeah, good. Okay.
Is that just for him or for everybody? On Wednesday night?
I think it's for everybody. For you too. And for everybody.
The Wednesday night over here.
Chol HaMoed. Chol HaMoed.
What time is it called for?
8 o'clock. Yisashem. Okay? Just I mentioned it to him now just because he was leaving. Okay, Zag is it.
And if he wouldn't be leaving, I would have known him.
Chefesach, the Chefesach, nicht jetzt, nicht jetzt, nicht jetzt.
When I was with these people, they would, and you never would have talked like that.
Yeah. When I was their age, I was a big troublemaker. Don't worry. Okay. So, in any case, so the Gemara says that there were two angels. One was named Uzzah, and the other one was called Azael. And these two angels said, and they quoted a verse from Tehillim, so it's like it's an interesting type of a medrash because Tehillim hadn't been written yet, right? But they said, Ma enosh ki tizkerenu. It's a verse in Psalm 8. What is man that you should consider him? So these two angels were saying, Ribono Shel Olam, you made a beautiful world, and if you're going to create man, he's going to make a mess, right? He's going to make a mess. Now, if you take these two names, Uzzah and Azael, and you put them together, you sort of get Azazel, right? So, you still need to understand what's going on. But what were they doing? What does it mean? God asked everybody to contribute to the creation of man. That's why in your body, you have every mineral that's known of is also in your body. Right? There's gold in your body, there's silver in your body, there's all kinds of things in our bodies. Everything that's in existence in the world is present in the human being. The human being is a microcosm. And that's why we are in the position that we have the capability of elevating the entire world to Hashem. Okay? If there would be something in the world that we had nothing, that we had no connection with, we wouldn't be able to do that. So what is it that Uzzah and Azael created? And what exactly, I shouldn't say exactly, what is another way of understanding the whole idea of angels? So Reb Shlomo explains that angels can be understood as energies. Okay? And what Uzzah and Azael contributed to the creation of man is they contributed negativity. In other words, where does it come from that you should have negativity towards another person, towards yourself, God forbid, or towards anybody? Why is it that you're sitting at a red light in your car and there's a guy in front of you in his car and the light is turned green and he's in the middle of texting and he's not moving and you blast your horn and you say, get out of my way, who needs you, right? Where does that negativity come from? Why would you think that there's a human being in the world that we could do without, chas v'shalom, right? Where does that negativity come from? So that negativity comes from the statement of Uzzah and Azael. When they said to God, don't create man because man is going to make a mess. In other words, it's not just that they raised an objection to the creation of man. They actually contributed something to the creation of man. What they contributed was negativity. Okay? So on Yom Kippur, what we're trying to do is not only to get atonement for our transgressions. That's not all we're trying to do. We also want to get rid of negativity. I don't want to be negative, right? I don't want to be negative anymore.
What does it mean when the wall or the string turns white? That negativity has been removed?
Right now, what the rabbis say that means is that our sins have been forgiven. But you know,
Okay.
okay. So the one goat is going down to the altar as a sin offering for our transgressions, and the other one is being sent out to Azazel, and it's a very graphic event. And basically, the Kohen is standing between. Don't worry about the noise. It's okay.
Okay.
You see, Yerushalayim, it goes on all the time. Let the people who are watching from afar let them hear the sounds of Yerushalayim too. Okay. So the Kohen standing between the two goats is basically saying, Chevra, it's not just our transgressions we got to deal with. We got to deal with making a choice. Are you choosing good or are you choosing evil? And obviously, we want to choose good. So the question is, why was it necessary for the Kohen to draw lots? Why couldn't we call up Yaakov and say, Yaakov, have a good look at these goats. Which one is going to the altar and which one is going to Azazel? Now, what do you want to say? Huh? Okay, that's true. We'll leave that for now, okay? But yes. But going deeper than that. What is the idea? Why does it have to be with lots? So that's what Reb Shlomo is going to be explaining over here on page 219, okay? In any case, the graphic aspect of the whole Azazel thing is that it gets sent over the edge of the cliff and is basically like sort of like letting us know, look at what negativity leads to, right? Okay, and if you don't watch your negativity, you can be me, any one of us can become an extremely cruel person. God forbid. Okay.
Cynicism.
What?
It's like a cynicism thing, right? Like you can pick to be positive about something, which is like it's clarity. Like positivity is clarity.
Right.
And then you could choose to be negative about something, which is really like cynicism. Like
cynicism is a type of negativity, right? But yeah, but it is.
Like no, it can't. Like it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Okay, so Reb Shlomo says, "אבל השאלה הכי עמוקה היא, the deepest question is, למה זה היה צריך להיעשות על ידי גורל? Why was the determination be done through with a lottery? Okay, so and וכי אי אפשר היה שוועדה של כהנים תחליט איזה מן השעירים יהיה לשם ואיזה לעזאזל? They could have made a committee of Kohanim to decide which one's going where, right? שאלה נוספת, an additional question is, למה הם היו צריכים להיות זהים? Why did the two goats have to be identical? What for?
So you can choose one over the other.
So he says, עכשיו מגיע העומק הכי עמוק, אני רוצה שתפתחו את הלב, we're going to learn something very, very deep, open your hearts. זו אחת התורות העמוקות ביותר של האישבסר, this is one of the deepest teachings of the אישבסר. He says like this, לפעמים אני חושב שאף אחד לא היה יכול לומר את זה, שאף אחד אחר לא היה יכול לומר את זה. Sometimes I think that nobody else was able to say this. העניין של הגורל הוא, the whole idea, the third paragraph, The whole idea of the lottery is levarer ben atov shehud Hashem, is to select between the good which is for God, ben hara shehud Azazel, and the evil that is going to Azazel. Umasbir ha'ishbitzer, the Ishbitzer explains, "V'adat lahavdil ben atov ben hayoter tov," to distinguish between good and better, or ben hatov ben hapachot tov, or between good and less good. Ze lo kol kach kasher. It's not so difficult, right? אבל לדעת להבדיל בין עומק הטוב ובין עומק הרע, but to be able to distinguish between the depth of good and the depth of evil, זה רק מן שמיים, it's only from heaven. מדהים. That's amazing, right? You would think it's just the opposite. You would think that, I can't tell this is better, this is not better. But what he's saying is that's not so difficult. There's ways to measure that. But to recognize real evil is very difficult. To distinguish between real sophisticated evil and real good is difficult to distinguish. And he explains. האם ידעתם שהרשע, הרוע המוחלט, you know that evil, absolute evil, נראה יפה בדיוק כמו הטוב, it looks as appealing as the good. את הרוצחים הקטנים לא קשה לזהות. The small-time murderers are not difficult to identify. הם נראים כמו רוצחים. They look like murderers. אבל הרוצחים האמיתיים, but the real murderers, אלה המוכנים להשמיד את כל העולם, those that are prepared to wipe out the whole world. You can see pictures of them every day in the papers today. דעו לכם, you should know, הם לא נראים כמו רוצחים. They don't look like murderers. They smile. הם מאוד סימפטיים. They seem very sympathetic. הם מדיפים ריח בושם. They're wearing fancy colognes. הם אומרים, hey, מה שלומך? They say, hey, how are you? דאגתי לך כל כך. I was so concerned about you. Right? So ביום כיפור אנחנו מבררים בין השעיר שהוא להשם ובין השעיר שנשלח לעזאזל. So Yom Kippur, we're choosing between the goat that's going to the altar and the goat that's going to Azazel. הבירור הזה הוא בדיוק, poor Bernie, he wants to turn him. As he loves opening the doors for people.
Right. It's a metaphor.
Right? Have a seat over there, please, because we're right. Sit with Michal, if you don't mind, okay?
As long as you don't turn on the air conditioner.
Just.
If you turn on, I'll move.
Okay, thank you. So he says, Ruben Yosef, if you're not looking in your book, give it to him, okay? So he says that, דעו לכם, זה לא פשוט, קרוב לוודאי, שאם היינו נפגשים עם יעקב ועשיו, know that, I'm sorry, excuse me, I skipped a sentence. We're in the second line. הבירור הזה הוא בדיוק הבירור שבין יעקב לעשיו. Choosing between this goat that's going to the altar and the goat that's going to Azazel is the same as choosing between Yaakov and Esav. הקדושה המיוחדת של יום כיפור הוא שבו נפרד סופית יעקב ועשיו. What's special, the special holiness of Yom Kippur is that ultimately, or finally, we get to select and distinguish between Yaakov and Esav. And he explains, דעו לכם, no, זה לא פשוט, it's not simple. קרוב לוודאי שאם היינו נפגשים עם יעקב ועשיו, Reb Shlomo says it's almost sure to him that if we would meet Yaakov and Esav in the street, לא יכולנו להבחין בעומק ההבדל ביניהם, we wouldn't be able to distinguish the depth of difference between them.
Didn't they look different?
Yeah, but he's now using Yaakov and Esav in a metaphorical way too, okay? The Rabbi Miklatz היה חשוב להדגיש את זה. The Kotzker Rabbi used to emphasize this. הוא היה אומר באופן ציורי, he would graphically say, שהשטריימל של עשיו, that the שטריימל that Esav was wearing, היה גדול יותר מהשטריימל של יעקב. It was bigger than Yaakov's שטריימל. והגרטל שלו היה ארוך פי שניים, and that his gartel was twice as big. מאשר לשודש שלו, בשבת הרבה יותר ארוכה, and he finished Shabbos a lot later than Yaakov. Right? תארו לכם שאתם נכנסים לבית מדרשו של עשיו. Imagine you're going into Esav's base medrash. הוא יושב שם, he's sitting there, and he's giving a shir, right? היום הוא כבר טימא שתי נשים, he already defiled two women. הוא מתכנן לטמא עוד אחת אחרי התפילה, and he's planning to do another one after davening. ובינתיים הוא עומד שם בתפילה ומתנדנד, in the meantime he's davening and he's shaking, עם פנים קדושות כאלה, he's got such a holy looking face. אם אתה לא מכיר אותו, if you don't know him, אם לא ראית משהו עושה בסתר, if you haven't seen what he does when nobody else is watching, אתה ממש מתפעל, you're really impressed. איזה רבי, what a רבי. ואתה אומר לעצמך, and you say, הוא נראה בדיוק כמו יעקב, he looks exactly like יעקב. הלא הם תאומים, after all, they are twins, נכון? Now, this is a serious problem that is in the news a lot today, right? The whole issue of abuse and everything, and the tragedy is that people who get abused very often get abused by people that there's every reason in the world that they should actually be able to trust them, right? And it's a big tragedy, and we know that, sadly, that the abusers, if you wouldn't discover that this is what they are, and that that there's something very evil in them, we're easily fooled. We're easily fooled. Okay? So, Omer HaIshbitzer, page 221, so the Ishbitzer says, Dal lecha, no, להבדיל באמת בין הטוב האמיתי לרע האמיתי, to distinguish between real good and real evil, זה מעבר ליכולת האנושית. It's beyond the human capability to actually make perfect distinctions between real good and real evil. זה יכול לבוא רק מהתגלות שמיימית. You need heavenly revelation to make the right choices and the right decisions. And that's the idea of the lottery. Okay? The idea of the lottery for the Sa'il Hashem and Sa'il Azazel. דעו לכם, no, גם בחיי היום יום, also in daily life. לפעמים אתה פוגש מישהו נחמד, you meet somebody that seems to be very nice, אתה מדבר איתו ואתה בטוח שהוא אדם טוב, you speak with them and you're sure that this is a really nice person. You get a job at some hotel, right? Everything seems to be perfect. ואז פתאום אתה קולט, and then all of a sudden you begin to realize, האדם הזה ממש רע, that this person is really evil, ממש רע. ואף אחד לא יודע, nobody even knows it, כי זה לא ברמה של המעשים הגלויים שלו, because it's not on the level of their revealed actions, right? וההבדלה במוצאי שבת, מוצאי שבס, when we make הבדלה, אנחנו אומרים, ברוך אתה השם אלוקינו מלך העולם המבדיל בין קודש לחול, blessed are you God, Hashem our God, King of the universe, who separates between the holy and the profane, ben or l'choshech, between light and dark, ben Yisrael Amim, between the nation Israel and the nations. Be'etzem anachnu mevakshim, what we're basically saying in that blessing is it's really a prayer, Ribono shel olam, Master of the world, rak ata yachol lahavdil b'shvilenu ben or l'choshech. Only you are really capable of enlightening us to see the difference between light and dark. באמת, בשביל זה אתה צריך את הקדוש ברוך הוא, for that you need God, מי לא יודע להבדיל בין אור לחושך, who can't distinguish between light and dark, אבל זו טעות, that's a mistake. החושך שאנחנו מסוגלים לראות, the darkness that we're able to see, איננו תכלית החושך, is not the ultimate darkness. Hazor HaKadosh Omer sheyesh shnei minei choshech. There's two types of darkness, the Zohar says. Yesh choshech shehu rak heder or. There's a darkness which is just an absence of light. V'yesh choshech mahuti, and there's a substantive darkness, right? There's two kinds of darkness. There's a darkness which is an absence of light, and there's a darkness which is a substantive darkness. V'choshech hazeh, in that kind of darkness, lo ezra mishamayim hi efshar lavchin. Without help from heaven, you cannot distinguish it. In other words, it's not the physical type of darkness that we're talking about.
Can you explain what the difference of the two darknesses are?
Well, besides the news that's going on and that you see today, go back to the Second World War. How many millions of people thought that Hitler was doing something good?
Still a lot of people think he did something.
Right? And still today, right? Okay. There's somebody is close to us? Huh? Oh, sure. Okay, so and even today, there are, what was that movie that guy did, Cohn? That's why that crazy movie came out a few years ago.
Which one?
You know what I mean?
About what?
The Jew.
Yeah. No, not The Matrix.
Like,
It's just sort of a semi-humorous movie. This Israeli guy went and he pretended he was from Kazakhstan.
Sohan? No.
Borat?
Borat. Yeah.
Borat,
But the other one,
right?
the
Borat.
dictator.
He goes Borat. I'm talking about. He goes into this place in Texas, and he gets the whole crowd to sing the song about throw the Jew down the well, and I mean he just goes in and like what he's done in that movie is, I mean I don't think he should have done it, but he was basically simply exposing the evil that's there. Okay, it's there, and people think that it's good, that there's something redeemable with it. Okay, so the without Hashem's help, you don't know, right? So he says because there's a darkness which is an absence of light, and there's a darkness which is, Shira, sit next to Pnina, okay? There's a darkness which is substantive. In other words, it is a mitziyut. It is a substantive mitziyut that you can be just as lost in it as anybody else. So we need Hashem's help. אתם חושבים שגרמניה למשל זה היה רק הדר אור? You think that Germany was just a matter of absence of light? Okay. Today I moved the book over so Shira likes to look in page 221. We're in the second last paragraph on 221. It begins with Atem Choshvim. You see it? You think that Germany was just a place where there was an absence of light? You think if we would have brought them some concerts and doing some people from Nachlaot, we would have changed them, right? You think that they were just missing a few teachings from the Ishbitzer, or the Rabbi Mitam Lemi Amshinov, or they were missing some teachings from the Amshinov or Rabbi? It was the darkest dark. Tahom HaReshat was the abyss of evil. And what breaks the heart, what breaks our heart is that this abyss of evil, it can look good. The depth of the evil can look like it's light, right? And they would say, like Yitzchak says, Reb Shlomo, I want to tell you, this teaching opened my eyes. Okay? So that was, it was this that Reb Shlomo explains the need for the lottery. Okay?
What?
The lottery.
Lottery.
Okay. Now, so Uzzah and Azael say to God, don't create men. In other words, their contribution is negativity. That's what they contributed. It's not that they just objected to the creation of man, they actually made a contribution to the creation of man. They contributed negativity. Okay. At the end of Parshat Bereshit, just before the flood, it says that man had become very corrupt and very evil, and that God regretted creating men. And then the Torah tells us there were these characters that were known as B'nai HaElohim, the sons of the God. Okay? But over here, Elohim doesn't mean God, it just means very powerful people. And it says, Vayilu B'nai HaElohim et Benot HaAdam, they saw the daughters of man, Vayichu Lahem Mikol Asher Bacharu, they took whomever they pleased. In other words, they saw a woman, whether she was married, not married, a kid, an adult, didn't make a difference to them. They took whoever they wanted. Rashi tells us who are these B'nai Elohim, and they were fallen angels. Okay, who were they? They were Uzzah and Azael. When God regretted creating men, Hashem said, so they came to God and they said, we told you so, that you're going to regret creating men. And Hashem said, you think you can be better? So they said, yeah. So Hashem sent them down, and they became the most corrupt. Okay? In other words, unfortunately, we all have a certain degree of tolerance for negativity, right? In other words, I'm not going to go over and smack somebody in the face and knock them out, but I can sit here and have very negative feelings toward them, right? That's already not so impolite. To go and deliver a smack in the face, that's not polite. But to sit here and smile and say, hi, how are you? And inside my kish was thinking, can't stand your guts, I wish, all kinds of terrible things, God forbid, right? So Hashem created us in such a way that, thank God, your negative feelings don't carry as much power as other overt negative actions do. Although, in fact, they do carry a lot of power. They do have a lot of power, okay? Now, Reb Shlomo says, you know what happened on the night of the Exodus and the night of Yetziat Mitzrayim? The night that the firstborn plague took place? Reb Shlomo says is that what God did was he unleashed the negativity of the Egyptians, the negativity that the Egyptians had towards their own firstborn. He unleashed it, and he allowed that negativity to manifest itself. And that's what killed their firstborns. Right? If you're sitting here or anywhere and you're having negative feelings towards someone, it's Hashem that's not allowing your negative feelings actually physically harm that person, right? But it could have been different. So the whole avoid of, you understand, like when if you catch yourself being negative, So our tendency is to sort of excuse ourselves and say, look, I can't stand that jerk. Nobody else likes him either. I'm not such a bad guy. I'm better than this one. I'm better than that one, and so on. But in the meantime, you're living in negativity. You're living with negativity, right? And negativity is absolute evil. So good. So thank God, we have it pretty much under control. We're not thinking that way all the time. We're not, but comes to Yom Kippur, and I got to realize it's not just my transgressions that I got to deal with. I want to deal with the issue of not repeating them. It's not just the transgressions that I did or didn't do. What about the negativity that led me to do it? Negativity towards others and also negativity towards myself. Right? And this is what Reb Shlomo is explaining the name of the Ishbitzer. This is the avodah, this is the work of the service of the Sa'ir Azazel. To say, Rebbeinu Shalom, I really want you to help me know the difference between good and evil. I really want you to help me, and I want you to enlighten me so that I can make the proper choices. And how many times does it happen that that you do something and you think that you're doing something good, but then you discover that underneath all that there was a pretty negative motivation, right? It happens. It happens, right? And it's actually scary to find out how negative we can be. Okay, so Hashem, I want you to, we want you to help us make good decisions, choose the right things, choose the good things, and so on. And Hashem, I need to realize how tragic negativity can be. Okay,
We actually say those words, or
they're not copyrighted. You can. In other words, yes, if you say it yourself, you'll say those words. You understand? Is it written in the Machzor? There are places where those prayers are there. Okay. Now, take like if you relate this with Reb Nachman's teaching of Azamra, right? Reb Nachman says that when you're focusing on the negative in somebody, you're putting them into a negative space. If you're focusing on the positive in someone, you're putting them into a positive space. And it sounds magical that your eyes, that the way you're looking at someone has so much power, but it is reality. It's absolute reality. You actually can do that, and the Chol can testify. Michal was sitting here. Remember a few years ago we were learning Reb Nachman, and Freidel was sitting over here, also from Toronto, and we were learning Reb Nachman about the power of focusing on somebody's positive points, and even long distance is so powerful. And Freidel was sitting here, and she was like astonished that this can be so, and it was suggested, let's do it right now. And I'm suggesting it even right now, whether it's about someone else that you want to focus on, or whether it's on your own on your very own self. And if it might be somebody that you haven't spoken to in a long time because there was some not great exchange between you on the last occasions, and focus on something good in that person. Right now, you can keep your eyes open, you can open them even more, or you can close them. I don't care. Doesn't matter. That's we're not pretending, but just think of a person in your life, and and visualize them and focus on something positive in this person, something positive that they may have done. And even if it's a tiny thing, it doesn't matter. Just focus on something positive in that person. Look at them and look at their positive point or points, the nekudot tovot. And as you're doing that, like you can verbalize in your mind or with your mouth, a blessing. I bless you that you should have a good year, a healthy year, that you should be able to continue to do many good things, and that your goodness should grow and develop further and manifest all the time. And send them, and send them that blessing. And don't be surprised, or be surprised, if you hear from them in the next 24 hours, one way or another. So Fredel was sitting here, and she came back at 6 o'clock at night. She phoned. She says, "I'm sorry for bothering, but I have to tell you, I got this phone call from these people in Toronto that I was thinking about during the class, and this was somebody that there was some not good relationship going on there for a long time, and it's that power of how you see things is a real power, and the drawing of the lots is like a prayer, basically saying lottery is a heavenly choice. It's like saying, Hashem, help me make. Oh, I forgot about that one. Yeah, help me make the right choice. Enlighten me. What were you going to say?
I was just trying to get a clarification on how you're using negativity, because in the, on one side of like the hay or the present moment, like I see it, or I feel a balance, like it's real. It's like the story I put onto the negativity of that moment.
What are you trying to say? That there's a way to use it? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, like especially internally, like when negative things come up.
There is a way to use it. That's true.
And it's kind of like, I guess, the unfold. Like being open to the unfolding.
Right. There is that aspect also. Yeah.
I was just trying to.
You're good. You're saying something good. Understand? But even though sometimes things are presented in what seems to be a simplistic way, we're not claiming that things are just simple. Okay? So I mentioned this particular story yesterday, but I didn't tell it to you. I'm going to tell it now. So just so we should end with so in Montreal, there's this Dr. Brower. Dr. Brower, he might be retired now. I don't know, but he's a Harvard graduate. He's a brain researcher at McGill University. And he's a Lubavitcher Chassid with the beard down to his tippik. And he's a very serious guy. 5 o'clock in the morning, he's already out of the mikveh. And you heard the story, right? Yeah. You don't mind hearing it again. And he 5 o'clock in the morning, he's already out of the mikveh. He sits and learns Chassidus for an hour, and he meditates, and then he dappens. And he's very, very serious. Like he doesn't do, when he's davening, he's like totally focused on his davening. When he's learning, he's totally focused on his learning. And then he runs off to his office. And anyway, somehow or other, he also managed to publish some stories of incidents, anecdotes that happened in his life. So he distinguishes between BC and AC. BC is before he started learning Chassidus, before Hasidus, and AC is after Hasidus. And he writes that before Hasidus, like Yom Kippur was a day that he sort of looked forward to. It was a very elated day to know that that it is a Yom Tov. It is something to be happy about, that Hashem is forgiving us. And but then when he started learning Hasidus, and he started learning that there's all these high-level conscious experiences that you can have on Yom Kippur, because on Yom Kippur we pray 5 prayers, the 5th one being Ne'ilah, and that one can experience the revelation of the highest level of your soul, Yechide, Chaya and Yechide. So he was really excited when the next Yom Kippur was coming around to have this experience. And lo and behold, Yom Kippur came and went, and he didn't have that experience. So he realized that it's not going to happen unless he really prepares himself. So the following year came the month of Elul, and he started learning all these different teachings and meditations. Came Yom Kippur, it came and it went, and he didn't achieve what he was hoping to achieve. So he says, ever since then, there went his summer vacation, because as soon as Shavuos comes around, he knows that he's got to start getting ready for Yom Kippur. So this one year, as soon as Shavuos was over, he really started, he had a plan, he practiced, he knew what he was going to learn, he practiced the meditations, and was really, really looking forward to the Ne'ilah prayer, when the Yechide Shebanefesh, the highest level of the Neshama, gets revealed. So, and you can imagine how intensely he was praying the entire Yom Kippur, and finally it's time for Ne'ilah. The Chazan is starting this Yiz Gadol Shemei Rabo, and all of a sudden this Chassid comes up to him, and he's holding his guts like this, he's holding his belly, and he's and he says, Dr. Brower, please help me. So Dr. Brower is thinking, oh my God, what happened? Did you get a hernia all of a sudden, or what's going on here, She says, what's the matter? She says, my suspenders undid and my pants are falling down. The Chazan is continuing, and he says, Dr. Brower, please help me, my pants are falling down. She says, well, what am I supposed to do? She says, put your hand up under my jacket and find my suspenders and hook me back up. She says, I never wore suspenders in my life. I don't know what to do. She says, figure it out and just do it. Oh, man, right? And so Dr. Brower puts his hand up the back of his jacket, the back of his kapuza. He finds the suspenders over there. They have clips. He doesn't know which one goes which way. So he clipped one this way, one that way. Anyway, he hooked them up, and the guy says, thank you so much. And the other guy goes off to daven. And Dr. Brower is standing there, and he's saying, I just spent 5 months getting ready for this moment. And I learned all these meditations, and look at what happened. I'm hooking up somebody's pants because they're falling down. He was besides himself until he remembered that he had come across a teaching that just before you're allowed entry into a higher sphere, you're going to be tested again to see, do you know what it's really all about? And if it's like Avram Avinu, right, sitting there at the tent, he's waiting for a Kodesh Baruch Hu. And if you say to the guy, you kidding, suspenders, pants, I'm already up here, and in this 5th heaven, the 7th heaven, wherever it is, and you're talking to me about pants, let your pants fall down, I don't care. You ain't going anywhere if you don't realize that it's all about how you are living here, how you're relating with one another, right? So And if you think that you're having a high spiritual experience and you don't mind that somebody else is, and you tell somebody to go find somebody else to help you with your suspenders, you could fool yourself. You could fool yourself. You could think that you're having a very high experience. That's the nature of the abyss of the darkness, is that you could think that it's light.
Did he have this experience? The man who helped the suspenders?
The Dr. Brower have this experience. I'll tell you the truth. I never asked him, but I did see him in Montreal last Shabbos. Not last Shabbos, but the Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah. And I saw him in the street, and we said hello, and I looked behind his jacket, and I said, "Where are your suspenders?" And he looked at me like, so I said, suspenders, Neila? He says, "Oh, those suspenders are now in Paris." Anyway, that's Chassid now lives in Paris. He moved with his suspenders.
Is the secret then to do mitzvahs ben adam l'chavero?
The secret is that when you have to daven, you have to daven. But if in the middle of davening, somebody needs a favor, so then you do it. Okay?
Can you tell a story of the Baal Shem Tov on Ne'ilah? On Kol Nidre? Nowhere to be found. He went to hell.
There's stories like that about yesterday we learned about the Berditchever. There's stories like that about all the tzaddikim.
Was just giving birth.
There's every tzaddik has stories like that. Yeah, every person has stories like that, and so even that, like you're on your way to doing to davening, right? And somebody asks you for a favor. Now, let's be honest. If it's something that doesn't need to be done right then and there, so it's totally correct to say to the person, "Listen, I'll be happy to help you, but now's not the time, and we'll do it after davening," right? And if the guy insists, "No, I want you to do it now," well, I'm sorry, sir. It's not like if it doesn't need to be done now, it could wait. There is such a thing as prioritizing, right? But if it's something that you need to take care of it right now, so then Hashem is obviously sending you something to do right now that you have to, and if you say, "Well, this is not important enough. This person isn't important enough that I should interrupt my meditation to hook up his pants," or whatever it might be, right? So then that is a very subtle form of negativity. Okay? And you're still stuck in the negativity. Chas v'shalom.
Question?
Yeah.
How do you protect yourself? Like you could. It has to be you could protect yourself from you could. Okay.
Yeah. You need to protect yourself.
And
you got so we're davening to make the right decisions, okay? And decisions you will make, okay? And there's a certain logic. Okay, you want a favor. Can it wait or can it not wait? Right? You are also important, right?
what about other people's negative thoughts that if we could?
Oh, you're talking about that.
Yes.
Yeah, you can protect yourself and say, "Ribbono Shel Olam, I don't want these negative thoughts to hurt me, and I bless them to overcome their negativity."
So there's a
And just and it's like it's like, what do you call it? It's like in judo. Okay, the way judo works is that you don't try to block the negative energy, the force that's coming at you, but rather you sort of move aside and use it. Okay, so if you feel somebody's negative energy coming, so then use it as a moment to say a prayer for that person to not be so negative. That person may be screaming to you, "I've got this negativity. I don't know how to handle it." Okay.
Like, I think we dive in every day. Right? We dive in every day with this kind of stuff in mind. Like after you.
At the end of the Shemoneh Esrei, you mean?
Also at the end of Shemoneh Esrei.
The kind of tzor. Yeah. She's right. Look at the last paragraph of the Amidah. You'll see that what we learned today is in that prayer. The kind of tzor, the Shani Miros, was the Midaber Mima, and also in the Yehi Ratzon, in the Ribboni Shalom before Kriyat Shema al Amitah. Okay, I wish everybody a Gmar Chatina Tova, and we're going to be building the Secret God building on Thursday. Anybody that wants to come and help, please let me know. Okay? Help, I need what?
What is the next? Now you